Hey guys, it is Cameron at the Gold Cove. Today we're going to be explaining why the younger generation should be putting their money, a little bit at least, into a little bit of a savings in gold and silver, because over time it grows and develops and eventually can have a good savings and a little bit more money to play around with at a little bit older of an age. And I'll let Caleb explain more about that.
Good job, Cam. All right. Hopefully you guys all know me by now. My name is Caleb. If not, what up? But besides the point, we are going to dive right into why younger generation should start buying some precious metals and why it's too affordable not to, in my opinion. But I know some people above my generation and my generation, and even below my generation, I don't know what the cutoff is for below my generation, but besides the point, and they don't have any precious metals, or they don't invest into anything, and they don't do much with their money except for blow it on video games or get some new clothes and shoes and this and that. That's all fine, all right? But what I do really want to push you guys to understand is that 10 years down the road, that stuff that you're blowing your money on, video games, clothes, shoes, phone, whatever, that there's just gonna end up in the trash, unfortunately. There, I said it, it's pretty much useless in my opinion. But what is not useless is precious metals. 10 years down the road, this stuff's gonna accumulate more wealth for you, and it's not gonna end up in the trash. This is always gonna have a value and always gonna be a store of value. And it's also very liquid and very important for y'all to keep in your investment portfolio. But year over year, gold and silver right now, well, I would say year to date, gold and silver up about 40 to 50%. So that there's a pretty nice investment within itself. I know some guys are savvy and they make 130% or 200. I'm not smart enough for that. So I buy some precious metals, and on average, I make 30 to 50% year to date. So that's a very key thing as well to understand. But another thing to understand is this money right here. This is a very important thing, yes, but 10 years down the road, this is going to be worth a lot more less. 10 years prior, we are up 99% in debt. Our United States government debt is $37 trillion. That's a lot of money. Our world government debt is around 110 trillion. So that tells you something, that we are pretty stuck in that hole. And the only thing that we keep on doing to get out of it is we're just digging on down, and hopefully there's some way out. But really, in reality, there isn't, unless if they revise gold and silver back to our standard of currency. Then therefore there is a chance. But if that does happen, gold and silver are just gonna go skyrocketing through the moon. I think Jeff and I did some calculations, and gold would have been around $150,000 if they did do that. Silver would be astronomical as well. We didn't do the silver calculation, or we did, I just can't remember, but gold, and I do remember because it just astounded me if we went back to the gold standard, and it would be $150,000 if we took our cash reserve and our what we have gold reserve and converted it and balanced it and offset our debt. That's what we came up with, was around $150,000 an ounce for gold. So I tell people to start buying as soon as possible. Gold right now, we're running a pretty cool special for 1 gram gold bars, which is pretty exciting because a lot of times the 1 gram gold bars do have a pretty big premium. Right now, we're gonna be selling those at melt, which rate is about 110, might be 108, 109. I do believe it's around there for that this week. So I know graduation is coming up. So you guys do get a nice chunk of change at your grad parties. I did, and I bought some gold and silver with that, or I saved it and bought a car with it. Whatever your guys' plan is to do with your money, I tell you guys to push maybe 10% more, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever you guys are comfortable with, into precious metals. I think I'm about 50 to 60 of my net wealth is probably in precious metals because it's a hedge over inflation and it's very liquid. People always make the argument about, Where am I gonna sell it? How am I gonna sell it? It's as easy as buying it. Sometimes I even tell people it's easier than going through a McDonald's drive-through because the weight nowadays is astronomical. You going in with this little 1/10 ounce of gold, you're gonna walk out with around 330, 340 bucks from any coin, maybe some pawn shops, maybe some jewelry shops, but you should walk out with around $334 right now. But that is besides the point, because I know a lot of people do make that argument about, well, it's just sitting there, it's, you know, how am I gonna sell it? It's very easy to. It's very simple and easy to sell it. Another key thing is I know some people that are very anal about seeing that number on their phone going up and up and up. But in reality, what's going down is that buying power. It's going down and down and down while you're thinking in your mind that it's going up, it's going down. This here goes up year over date. And it's just such a simple investment. You throw 5,000, 10,000, whatever you guys are comfortable with, $5, you're gonna make on average 30 to 50% year over year as of right now. In the past, not as much, but since we're so much in debt right now, our dollar is becoming worth less. This thing is becoming worth trash. Cash is trash is the new saying, in my opinion. Gold and silver is God's money and is going to be around for decades and years and years. So no matter what, gold and silver are always going to have a value. So no matter what, gold and silver is going to be around. You can take an ounce of gold and you can take an ounce of silver and go to China and India, and they're gonna know it. China makes silver and gold. India, I don't know, maybe they have their own bars or whatever. I know those guys really like their pure stuff. But I just want to dive into some of our precious metals here up on the table. We have these 100-ounce bars. Those there are pretty bulky and nice, but when you need some cash, you're gonna have to sell this whole thing. I tell people if they do have that standpoint and they can just buy one of these and it's fine, sure, buy it, because you're gonna buy it the less over spot. If you don't want to do that route, you can go into some 1-ounce coins here. This here is pretty simple and explanatory. 35 to 40 bucks an ounce, depending on where you go. And you guys, I don't want to hear an excuse about you guys can't afford it, because in actuality, 35 to 40 bucks, I'm sure you guys can scrub that up a month. You can buy one of these a month. That's only 35 to 40 bucks a month. You can even go, less. So you can even go to the 1/10 ounce. These here are 1/10 ounce silver bare bowl things. These are made from a refinery. They're pretty cool. They do demand a big premium, and that premium is met by customers and buyers that want the 1/10 ounce of these little bitty guys. But we're selling them for $5. So if you do that times 10, that's 50. It's got a little bit of a premium, you can say that. But if you guys want to get some stuff that's even at a smaller fractional piece, you can get the 90% stuff here, which is $2.50 for this single little dime. 1964 and prior, our money was backed by gold and silver. So history, this stuff here, fiat currency, this stuff becomes worth nothing. History speaking, people have left this currency and went to a different fiat currency, and then that fiat currency has fallen. This stuff here, history speaking, this stuff is it just keeps going up. It's here, it's always gonna be around, no matter what. I really wanna push you guys into thinking about what this is really worth, what this little paper is worth. What is the dollar backed by? Think about that. Take a moment, think to yourself, what is the dollar backed by? What is the dollar, okay? What it is pretty much an IOU. What's gold? Gold has a value, and gold is always going to be around for years to come. And it's a beautiful thing. Our government makes gold, so that should tell you something in your mind. If our government's getting into gold, and our government's probably not our trustworthy friend, that kind of tells you that something's going on there as well. And you have big central banks buying up gold and silver right now. So that should be telling you guys something. That should be a red flag on if the banks are buying it, you guys should be buying it. If JP Morgan's buying it, if Jamie Dimon is buying it, if Warren Buffett has some, yeah, they all have a lot of precious metals. So that should tell you something too. And Warren Buffett started buying stocks at the age of 10 or 11. You guys should start getting some silver for your sons, brothers, cousins, nephews, whatever, and buy an ounce of silver for their birthday. I have been giving out silver to my relatives that don't have it. I've been giving them some precious metals because I don't want to give trash. I want to give something that has value, which is gold and silver, all right? Cameron, you got anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I would say dealing with gold and silver, it's been a thing for 2,000 years, and it just goes up gradually. So this, 300 years old, and it's only going down. What is there to back it? Even though, like, our ancestors were using gold, silver, this was what? I don't even know, $1,000 10 years ago. Now it's 3,000. This 10 years ago, 5,000 maybe. Now it's worth 4,000.
In buying power.
Yeah, in buying power. So what my dad usually says a lot is, let's say this is a Morgan. A Morgan 50 years ago was worth $1. Here, Caleb's going to grab one real quick. So this was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, it was worth $1. You could buy a loaf of bread with this, all right? But now, if you had a bunch of these, they were $1 worth. Now they're worth about $30, $25, and you can buy a bunch of loaves of bread with these. So it just shows how much silver goes up compared to the dollar. And biblically speaking, gold is God's money.
Correct. I just want to correct something real quick, what Cameron said. Back then, you could buy loaves of bread with this. You can go into a store and buy a loaf of bread with a dime. So he did try to make that analogy, but he did fail a little bit, unfortunately. He's still learning. But yes, he is correct. This here was worth $1 back then. It has the same buying power as it does now today. So it shows you that year over year, and history speaking, gold and silver do have a value. And if you come down here, I do want to show you guys something. This here is a quarter. It's a 1964 and prior quarter. So back then, in 1964 and 1963, you can get a tank of gas. A tank of gas was a quarter. Now you cash this in and get $5 or whatever, you can get almost 2 gallons of gas. So that shows you that this has increased in wealth and it just keeps on going up. So I just want you guys to have that knowledge and be prepared for the future, because if they do counteract our debt with precious metals, it's gonna go through the moon and maybe go into Pluto, if Pluto is a planet now. But oh well. You guys take care, have a wonderful day. Do buy some precious metals. If you're buying precious metals at his age, you're gonna be well off, all right? So do that. Take care, y'all.